and Babylon on BBC Radio Shropshire. It's 22 minutes to 9. The two most senior Methodists in this country are in Shropshire this weekend. The president of the Methodist Conference is Dr. Roger Walton, and the vice president is Reverend Rachel Lampard. And an event based in Hill called Praying for Change was organised especially for their visit. Today, they're preaching in church, but we've grabbed them on their way here this morning. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in. How are you finding Shropshire, first of all?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, we understand that the sun shines here all the time, and we're really loving it.
I'm glad you've got that message. Yes, the weather is always like this here,
and the people are always friendly.
That's also true. Yeah. This is true. We'll put some quotes on the Shropshire Tourist Board. This is what you had to say. So yesterday, I mentioned you were in Baston Hill doing a talk called "Praying for a Change." So what kind of change are you looking to bring about as a result of that?
Well, it wasn't really a talk, it was actually a gathering, so the church was full. So it wasn't us just talking, it was much more of a conversation. And the focus was on prayer, but not sitting alone and just praying and then getting on with the rest of our lives. It was much deeper than that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We were kind of considering some of the kind of injustices and the sort of difficulties that the world is facing and people are facing, and how we're involved in that, and how we sort of sustain ourselves to be involved in that, so that we're people of prayer but people of action, and how the action and the prayer kind of link together. That's what we were exploring.
And is that what people were saying to you then? As you mentioned, it was a kind of open conversation.
Yeah, we were in conversation. They set it up so that there were several conversations that were happening that other people listened into. So I had one conversation with Neil Richardson, and Rachel had another conversation later in the day, and then there were lots of conversations in workshops and activities, so that people were talking to each other about the things that they were passionate about, and how they got involved and how they sustained themselves. So that was really a conversation about prayer and justice.
Now, you were both appointed into these roles last year, so how long are you actually going to be in office, Rachel?
We're elected for a year, so that started in July, so we've just got 3 or 4 months left, but it's been such a busy and exciting year. We get to travel all around the country and see what's happening in various Methodist churches. We've also been overseas as well. I've been to Pakistan, we've both been to Jordan, seeing what the church is like around the world.
And is it the kind of role that you're given it for a year and you really want to make your mark on it, or do you just want to go with the flow and kind of, explore and soak up as much of it within that year as you can?
It's a bit of a mixture. Roger and I have got this theme of holiness and justice that we've felt very passionately about. So we've been travelling around talking to people about that and hearing what's going on and encouraging people. But we've also learnt so much from these kind of conversations and seeing what Methodist churches and other churches are doing in their communities, working for change and praying for change.
And we hear a lot about all manners of churches facing different challenges. What are the challenges facing Methodism at the moment?
Well, Methodism is a church that's been well established in this country for 300 years, and it's developed certain patterns of worship and activity, and we're recognising that we're in a very different culture. We need to respond in different ways. So some of the things that we're seeing as we go around the country are kind of new patterns of Christians meeting together for worship and for work, and that's very exciting because there's a lot of growth there. A lot of new people coming together and doing church in a slightly different way. So alongside the patterns that we've developed over 2 or 3 centuries, we've also got new patterns emerging. And actually, we've been really encouraged by that.
And traditionally, Methodism puts a huge focus on taking faith out to people. Are there new ways of doing that in the digital world that you're exploring?
The digital word, that's an interesting one. There is a lot more social media activity in the Methodist Church. So wherever we've been, people have been tweeting and Facebooking about what we've been doing. And that actually builds a new kind of community, which is very interesting. People are also doing things in the traditional way, though, in terms of reaching out. I think everywhere we've been, there's involvement in a local food bank, for example, responding to the needs of the local community. So it's both the kind of traditional way of helping, but then trying to build new communities of support and prayer and worship around that.
And you have a busy day in store today. What are your plans for today?
Well, I'm going from here to Shifnal to a big church gathering and celebration, and then later in the day I'm going to Kimver. Funnily enough, my first church was in Kimver. And I shouldn't have been there, but somebody died. They moved me out of college. I was there for a year. So it's kind of going back now.
It's a homecoming.
It's a homecoming,
yes?
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Amazing. What about you, Rachel?
I'm going to Blockswich this morning. They're having a parade service, and lots of Cubs and Scouts and Brownies will be there. Then I'm actually catching the train home to have a bit of a belated Mothering Sunday.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, Ed, so what will Mothering Sunday mean for you then?
Well, my children have promised to make me tea tonight, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
You sound a little bit anxious about it, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be wonderful.
It'll be lovely. It's always nice to be cooked for, isn't it?
Just.
No matter what it tastes like. Anyway, nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in. The President and Vice President of the Methodist Conference, Roger Walton and Rachel Lampard, who are in Shropshire this weekend, enjoying our sunshine. Someone else who's doing that is Ian Perry, who is out...